I am very happy to meet everyone again, and as usual, we will continue the love story full of ups and downs between Ly Hoai Ca and Officer Hùng. Before moving on to the new part, let us take a brief look back at the previous episode, where all the storms in Hoai Ca and Hung's life finally came to a close with a truly simple yet deeply moving wedding. After many years of hurt, misunderstanding, and conflict, Hung's mother, the woman who once made Hoai Ca shed countless tears, has truly changed. She now takes care of Hoai Ca in every little way, as if caring for her own daughter. The way she gently supports Hoai Ca as she walks, the way she worries about every meal and every cup of water, all of it feels like a silent but sincere apology. Mrs. Ha, Mr. Ha, and all their loved ones gathered together to prepare for that small but heartfelt wedding. Laughter filled the yard, warm and busy hands worked together, and every ribbon, every bouquet, every table and chair carried the blessings of the entire neighborhood for Hoai Ca. In that moment, Hoai Ca burst into tears. Not because of sadness, but because she finally felt the simple happiness she had longed for her whole life, a true family. After the wedding, life for Hoai Ca and Hung became gentle in the truest sense. Every morning, Hung woke up early to cook porridge for his wife, and every afternoon, Hoai Ca heard his footsteps entering the yard, bringing her a strange sense of peace. The joy grew even greater when the doctor announced that Hoai Ca's pregnancy was stable and developing well. The whole family eagerly awaited the next ultrasound to find out whether the baby would be a boy or a girl. Just when everything seemed calm, Tony's biological father suddenly returned. He stood at the door, his face tanned from years of working far away, holding a simple wedding gift filled with goodwill. There were no more struggles, no suspicious glances, no painful arguments as before. Smiled, politely asked to come in, congratulated them on their wedding, and presented the gift he had brought from afar. He quietly stood in a corner of the yard, watching Tony laugh happily in Hung's arms. There was no jealousy, no bitterness, only the calm acceptance of a man who had finally understood his place. Hoai Ca's small family therefore became even more complete, warmer, more fulfilled, more healing than ever before. And this journey is still continuing. So stay tuned and watch the entire video today to keep following the story. On the morning right after the wedding, the entire mountain region seemed to put on a new coat. The sky was so clear that thin white clouds could be seen drifting lazily above. The soft golden sunlight spread gently over the rooftops and along the dirt road where Hung was leading his motorbike out from the porch. The air was cool and pure, carrying the scent of fresh grass and damp earth after a long night, the kind of feeling that made anyone breathe deeply and instantly feel lighter. Hung parked the bike carefully, then turned back to help Hoai Ca sit in front. His movements were slow and gentle, so careful that one glance was enough to see how much he cherished her. After that, he lifted Tony and placed him between the two of them. The little boy, so tiny, clung tightly to his mother's shirt as if holding onto his entire world. His eyes were wide open, round with endless curiosity as he looked at everything around him. Every time the engine gave a slight vibration, Tony let out soft sounds, as if agreeing with the beauty of the morning. His fine hair fluttered in the wind, while his chubby little hands waved around, as if trying to catch the passing rays of sunlight. After riding a short distance, Hoai Ca gently placed her hand on her belly, a gesture that seemed almost unconscious, yet full of love and anticipation. Ever since she knew her pregnancy was stable, her face always carried a special glow, as if the morning sun lingered on her a little longer than on others. Whenever she thought of the tiny life growing inside her, a soft smile would appear on her lips. "I wonder if the doctor will be able to tell the baby's gender today," she said softly, her voice filled with excitement. Hope, nervousness, and gentle joy blended together into a tender anticipation within her heart. Hung simply smiled, that half-mysterious, half-proud smile of a man who trusted his instincts. I have a feeling. It's a boy. Hoai Ca laughed and lightly nudged his shoulder. You're just guessing and talking like you're absolutely sure. Hung shrugged, his face calm as if his conclusion was an unquestionable truth. He did not say anything more, but the confidence in his eyes was enough to make Hoai Ca laugh again. Tony, hearing his parents talk, laughed along too. He did not understand a single word, yet his little hands waved excitedly as if cheering for his father. That small scene made the mountain road feel even more lively. And then, amidst the steady hum of the motorbike, the wind brushing past, and Tony's clear laughter, Hung suddenly thought that perhaps this was the happiness he wanted to hold on to for the rest of his life. Hoai Ca leaned gently against his back, her hand still resting on her belly, her eyes looking ahead with a calm sense of peace. In that moment, the three of them, on that wild yet warm mountain road, looked like a beautiful painting slowly coming to life. A real family, growing through love and the simplest of moments. The ultrasound room that morning was filled with a pure white light, reflecting off the clean walls and making the space feel both quiet and warm. The faint scent of antiseptic lingered in the air, blending with the soft hum of the air conditioner to create a steady, reassuring rhythm. Hoai Ca lay slightly on her side on the bed covered with a pristine white sheet. She gently lifted her shirt, revealing the belly that was growing rounder each day, a clear sign of life developing inside her. The doctor carefully spread a cool layer of gel onto her skin. The sudden chill spread across her abdomen, making Hoai Ca instinctively draw back slightly. Standing close by, Hung was so near that if he leaned just a little, his cheek would touch his wife's forehead. His hand held hers tightly, not squeezing but steadying. Steadying Hoai Ca, holding on to their shared hope, and calming the heart that was beating wildly in his own chest. When the doctor placed the probe on her belly, a soft beep sounded. Then the screen began to show blurred black and white images, faint ripples and tiny movements like gentle waves. To others, they might have looked like nothing more than vague spots. But to them, it was an entire world. The doctor studied the screen, her eyes softening. Then she smiled warmly, a smile that instantly made the room feel even warmer. You both guessed right. The baby is a boy. In that moment, the entire room seemed to fall silent. Hoai Ca's dark eyes widened. Her body trembled slightly as she quickly brought her hand up to cover her mouth, as if she could not believe what she had just heard. Her eyes shimmered with emotion as she whispered, "A boy? Is it really a boy, doctor?" Her voice was so soft, as if speaking too loud might shatter the dream she was finally touching. Hung, standing beside her, could not hide his overwhelming emotion. He lowered his forehead to hers, his breath unsteady, his voice choked with joy. "Oh my, Ca. I finally know the face of my little boy." A simple sentence, yet filled with years of waiting, worry, and hope he had kept deep in his heart. At that very moment, Tony, who was being gently held by a nurse nearby, babbled happily and waved his tiny hands in the air, as if he too understood the important news and wanted to celebrate with his parents. As the doctor printed out the ultrasound image, she spoke in a warm, reassuring tone. "The baby is very strong. Just keep your spirits up and maintain a healthy routine, and everything will be fine." The moment the black and white image came out of the machine, she handed it to the couple. Hung received it with both hands, as carefully as if he were holding something fragile. He lifted the paper closer to his face, his eyes never leaving it for even a second. Even though the shapes were nothing more than faint marks, to Hùng, it was the face of his entire future. He stared at it for a long time, his hands trembling slightly, a smile slowly spreading across his lips. Beside him, Hoai Ca looked at Hùng with eyes as warm as sunlight, seeing clearly the man who was truly becoming a father. Inside that small room, the soft whir of the ultrasound machine, Hoai Ca's unsteady breathing, Hung's stifled laughter, and Tony's clear babbling all blended together into a sacred moment that none of them would ever forget. As soon as they arrived home, before the wheels had even fully stopped, Hoai Ca saw the two most important women in her life standing and waiting on the porch. Mrs. Ha and Hung's mother stood close together, their eyes full of anticipation, their hands lightly rubbing against their clothes as if feeling nervous on behalf of the young couple. Hùng jumped off the bike first, his face glowing so brightly that anyone could tell something important had happened. He held up the ultrasound photo high like a victory flag. "It is a boy. The doctor said it is 100% sure." The moment those words left his lips, Mrs. Ha could not hold back anymore. She rushed forward and hugged Hoai Ca tightly, gently stroking her back as if giving her a blessing. "My daughter is truly blessed." Her voice trembled, but her smile shone as warmly as the afternoon sun. Hung's mother stood beside her son, her eyes fixed on the ultrasound image in his hand. She reached out to take it, her eyes widening as if she could not believe she was looking at something so sacred. And then tears fell, dropping right onto the edge of the photo. "My grandson, truly my grandson." Her voice was not loud, but it carried such weight that everyone could see her heart softening little by little. She had hurt Hoai Ca so deeply in the past, and yet this moment felt like a quiet cleansing for both sides. Without waiting for anyone to speak, Hung's mother reached into her pocket and pulled out a thick stack of red papers, neatly tied with a rubber band. The moment Hùng saw it, he froze. She opened it and held it out to Hoai Ca. "I said I would do it, and I keep my word. The house I redeemed, I am transferring it to your name. Consider it your dowry and also a gift for my grandson." The air in front of the porch seemed to pause for a second in shock. Hoai Ca startled, her eyes wide as she hurriedly waved her hands. "Mother, I cannot accept this. I really cannot." Her voice trembled, filled with both surprise and genuine hesitation to receive such a great gift. Hung's mother did not respond immediately. She stepped closer and took Hoai Ca's hands, hands worn from years of hardship, now being held firmly by a mother who wanted to make amends. "Accept it. I have wronged you too much. Let me make it right now." Each word fell heavily into Hoai Ca's heart, yet carried a deep warmth. More than anyone, Hoai Ca knew that this was a confession spoken from true remorse built up over a long time. Hùng stood beside them, unable to say anything. He stepped forward and embraced his mother from the other side, his voice breaking. "Thank you, Mother. Truly, thank you." His eyes had already turned red because he understood that not everyone had the courage to admit their mistakes and start over. On that small porch, the afternoon sunlight filtered down, making the dust in the air sparkle. The gentle breeze carried the scent of sticky rice and the rich earth of the mountains. And that house on that day truly felt warm in the truest sense of a family. That evening meal had been peaceful. The newly renovated house glowed under the soft golden light of late afternoon filtering through the windows, casting a warm hue over the dining table. Mrs. Ha fed Tony a small piece of egg. Hung's mother chatted quietly about picking vegetables the next day, while Hùng and Hoai Ca occasionally exchanged gentle smiles, the kind of simple happiness they never thought they would have. At the very moment everything felt most calm, the familiar sound of a motorbike suddenly echoed outside the gate. It was not loud, but it was enough to make Hoai Ca's heart skip a beat. She froze, looking up. A flicker of hesitation appeared in her eyes, a mixture of old memories and her new life. Hung put his chopsticks down and frowned. Who could that be? No one had time to answer. The wooden gate opened with a soft click. Du walked in. He looked much the same as before, sunburned hair, darkened skin from wind and sun, a jacket lightly dusted from the road. But his eyes were completely different. The recklessness and bitterness of the past were gone. What remained was the calm of a man who had spent a long time reflecting and facing himself. Hoai Ca stood up abruptly, her hands tightly clasped, trembling slightly. Du looked at her for a long moment before speaking in a low, rough voice, as if each word had to be pulled from deep within his chest. I heard that you got married, and that Tony is going to have a little brother. His words were soft, yet full of acceptance. There was no clinging, no blame, no lingering pain. He set a large basket on the table. Inside were a few simple gifts, neatly wrapped in old but clean paper. A wedding gift for the two of you, and a gift for my son. Tony, who had been crawling on the floor, heard the movement and quickly made his way toward Du. The little boy clung to his pant leg, looked up, and let out a small babbling sound. Du bent down. His lips trembled, and his eyes became slightly moist. He has grown so much. There was no longer the possessive look he once had. No heavy breathing of a man trying to hold on to what he had lost. Only the quiet gaze of a father watching his child grow up in the arms of another man. Hoai Ca pressed her lips together, her voice as soft as the evening breeze. Thank you, Du. Hung stood up and walked over, his movements unexpectedly calm. No defensiveness. No irritation. None of the tension from the past. He stopped in front of Du, keeping just enough distance to show respect. Thank you. Tony will always know who you are. But the one who teaches him how to be a man will be me. This was not a statement of ownership, but a promise of responsibility. Du listened, pressed his lips together, and nodded slightly. Then I can be at ease. Between the two men, there was no more rivalry. No old knots. No emotional debts. Just two men who had once made mistakes, once hurt, once lost everything, now standing before each other. Calmer. More mature. Truly more like men. That night, the house grew quiet after a long day filled with emotions. Outside the porch, the mountain breeze blew gently, carrying the scent of rich earth and a thin layer of mist. The night sky was high and clear, stars shimmering as if illuminating every bit of peace around the small home. Hoai Ca sat on the wooden chair on the porch, her hand resting lightly on her belly, where a tiny life was growing day by day. The warm yellow light from inside the house shone on her face, giving her an unusually gentle glow. Hung walked out, saying nothing at first. He sat down close beside her, then leaned his head softly against her shoulder, not as a strong man seeking rest, but as a husband so full of happiness that he wanted to share it with the woman he loved most. His voice was low and gentle. Do you see, Ca? Our family is finally complete. Hoai Ca felt her heart warm at his words. She did not answer right away, only placed her other hand over his and gave it a soft squeeze. Inside the house, laughter echoed out. Tony was crawling around, babbling happily, while Mrs. Ha and Hung's mother playfully competed over who could soothe their grandchild better. The scene was simple, yet it held everything Hoai Ca had ever wished for. Outside, Du's silhouette slowly faded into the distance. He walked along the narrow dirt path, his steps no longer rushed, no longer heavy. His figure seemed lighter, like a man who had finally released the burden that had haunted him for so long. Hoai Ca watched his back for a brief moment, with no resentment, no sadness, just a quiet pause for a past that had once been painful. Then she closed her eyes, placed both hands on her belly, and smiled softly, the smile of a mother about to welcome a miracle. My child, you came at the perfect time. Thank you for bringing peace back to this family. Outside, the breeze remained gentle. Inside, laughter continued. The story of this family was entering a new chapter, warmer and more complete with each passing moment. Please stay tuned for the next episode to follow the continued journey of Hoai Ca, Hùng, and the baby growing inside her. Do not forget to leave a comment and share your thoughts with us.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người video tiếp theo về câu chuyện của Ly Hoai Ca nha. Ủa, cái gì đây rồi ta? Cái này đúng không ta? Thì mình dịch thử xem nào. Cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều vì đã luôn theo dõi video của mình nha. Sao mình cứ bị cái cơ.